recorded at Get a Grip Studios in Toronto, Canada. Get a Grip Management production and in association with the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. Presented by the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors, the National Lighting Bureau, the Illuminating Engineering Society, and of course, the International Dark Sky Association. This is Starving for Darkness. Hang on a second here, folks. That's right, hang on a second. Michael Colligan, co-host of Starving for Darkness here. Just to tell you real quick before we get into the conversation, which is super important for you to hear, that you need to go to KeystoneTech.com. That's KeystoneTech.com, especially if you're a contractor or a distributor, Greg Eric.
That's right. And they're coming out with a new exterior line of product, or they have come out with it. And they're going to continue to add to it. And they're dedicated to making dark sky friendly lighting and potentially dark sky compliant as we go. For now, though, they do have a dark sky full cutoff wall pack, a variety of wattages, Kelvin temperatures, and a precision crafted optical lens that's ideal for increased fixture spacing and uniformity. So less lighting fixtures needed because it can provide more light out of the one fixture. So check that out.
Go to KeystoneTech.com. That's right. Hold on. Here comes Starving for Darkness. But before, KeystoneTech.com.
Hello, listeners and dark sky lovers. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Starving for Darkness. We're so pleased to have our guest today, Deep Anand. Deep is the managing director of Astronomy Life, where they head up the initiative Save Our Stars. And I'm just so excited to talk to you today. And we ask every guest the same request, which is to please tell us about an experience that you had underneath the dark sky that was profound, that moved you, that touched your heart.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for having me here. And an experience that really touched me was when I was around 4 or 5. I used to live on the outskirts of the city, and there we used to have a really great night sky. I mean, so many stars. I mean, like if we compare about where I'm living right now to that will be a comparison of almost 99%. So over there, when I first there was a myth there that at night we should not go up on the roof. But there was a superstition in that area. But some one day I went anyways, and what I saw was that great night sky from the roof, and I just laid down there and I passed out there only, and that was the moment I knew that I love stars.
Well, you talk about stars almost like you write love letters to them. And I really appreciate how much you emotionalize your experience with the stars. And so I actually was listening to one of your Instagram television episodes today. And you said that stars are the reason I started writing in the first place. Can you talk about how they inspired you to become a writer?
All right, so a few years back, I mean, I used to write since I was 10, but that was just academically I'm writing that academically I'm writing poems, whatever they ask me for assignments or something. But 3 years back, when I was going through a bit of a bad phase, so at that point when I was sitting on the roof and I saw the stars, and I don't just popped up in my mind, and I started comparing the tears to stars. From that moment, I have been writing and I have been inspired from the night sky.
So you say you're comparing the what to stars? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Tears.
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 Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I can relate. I'm an emotional artist myself, so I've definitely cried into my work in the past before. I could totally relate to that. And you mentioned Van Gogh, And it's funny, I've seen Van Gogh mentioned so much lately with regard to the night sky, and it seems obvious, but I also think that there's a layer deeper that is really interesting to point out. And I'm actually wearing Starry Night socks right now. And that seems kind of iconic and obvious, but my point is that the the inspiration that Van Gogh captured from the night sky, we are all obsessed with, to the point where it's landed on my feet, where you mention it in your work, I mention it in an article I just recently wrote. So Van Gogh really captures the inspiration that we are missing. So, Deep, tell me about what you feel is lost when humanity no longer has access to the stars and to this inspiration.
First of all, the most important thing that is lost is our inspiration and the spirituality. The inspiration we lose because if we even try to compare about the times of how curiosity and creativity has decreased over the time. I mean, that's not, it is not a proven factor, but still, if it is a factor that we can look upon, that our
Mhm.
creativity, our inspiration is inspired by the night sky. When we look up into the night sky, we are revived, and because that's how our sleep cycle, that's how we are made, that's how we have evolved. In the
Mhm.
night, that's how we have evolved in the night sky. At the night when we look at the stars, we feel some special power that's going inside of us, and that inspires us. It helps us learn, it helps us learn more, it helps us write be new, because night is the time to revive yourself after a whole long day, and recap that whole day in your mind only at the night.
Absolutely. So you are the managing director of Astronomy Be Life, and one of your initiatives is Save Our Stars. So tell us about the work that you do and this initiative of yours.
Okay, so uh, our main motive is to aware more and more people about the problem of light pollution. Because especially here in India, there's not even a single 0.% of population that knows about the problem. And we can leave the factor that we'll try to eradicate it. We don't even know about it yet. So I mean, that's what we try to do, and for that we are targeting schools and the other educational institutions, because according to me, education at the point of student life, if we can add something into their curriculum, that'll embrace the curiosity of the student, because at the till the age of 18, the curiosity is the most in us. So if any of this any of the if any of the students out of 100 can spark a curiosity in himself or herself, that will make a lot of difference, because we don't know which curiosity may lead to a great research that will help us eradicate it, or maybe help us advocate it at an even greater level.
I think
So
that's such a smart target to target children.
yeah, that's why we do webinars, and that's why we do webinars, and we do public outreach sessions, and we do evening sky observations and night sky observations inside the school premises, so that the parents can send them and be assured they are safe and they are also enjoying the night sky. On the other hand, they're also enjoying night sky, and they are using that experience to gain some knowledge.
Well, I think the fact that you're targeting children is just a very nice way to bring this information to the next generation. And what kind of reaction do you get from the kids? What's something that's touched your heart?
uh, the kids are I mean, there are different reactions from everyone, because the impact of night sky on everyone is unique. Some kids already have some experience with the night sky that have led to a bad impact on them, or that have led to a good impact on them. It varies, but still mostly everyone who attends our seminars or our observations is first of all he is amazed by the beauty of the night sky, because that's what we focus on at the first point, the importance of the night sky and the beauty that we are missing out. And after that we move on to the problem, and then they are actually surprised to see that this kind of problem also exists and they didn't even knew about it now.
It's interesting that you talk about an appeal to children, and the importance of it from a metaphysical perspective, which I find is interesting. The problem that we have with the metaphysical and this idea of not knowing what we've lost, and appealing to children, I think that in my mind, I think there's something when we talk to people. There's like almost a near psychedelic experience for people when they have these moments. You talk about Van Gogh. There's definitely a feeling in the Van Gogh piece of a magical image. The problem we face today, in my mind, and I think it's an issue in India as well, is this concept of safety, and safety becoming like a virtue that needs to be protected at all cost. But most safety measures are run not on proof, but on axiomatic presuppositions. So people believe that more outdoor electric light at night equals more safety. That's actually not proven. Do you have any experience or anything that you can bring to that table? Because one of the things we're trying to do at Starving for Darkness is unpack that axiomatic presupposition into pieces that can be understood individually. Do you have any experience overcoming the safety hurdle in India?
Yeah, actually, that's one of the biggest problems we face when we talk to the parents of the children, or even when we do public outreach that is not in the school. So that's the main concern of the people, that that's a belief that more light equals safety. So we try every time we are doing a seminar or an observation, we try to have some props around us that we can show that more light does not mean safer. Any I mean what we do is we take we reach the venue a day before, and we try to find a light source that is not shielded properly, and then we design, we 3D print a shield for it, and then when people are there, we fix a time for the demonstration, and then we demonstrate how the light is going downwards only, and it's giving light to the portion that you need, but uh, not dispersing it around. So some people are convinced by it, some people are not, because of the mass belief that uh, more light is good.
You see, they use the word belief, which is I think is interesting. People have a belief in this outdoor electric lights equals safety presupposition. They believe in it, and so we need to figure out a way, Deep, to unpack that belief, right? So that it's compartmentalized. Yes, because we're not advocating for the elimination of outdoor electric light at night, but we are advocating for doing it better, and for a focus on restoration of darkness. Um, you're saying that when you show people that, some people are convinced and others aren't. Are the unconvinced giving you any reasons other than just being unconvinced?
Uh, just the conventional belief that more light is good. They just stick to that point and they won't budge from it.
Have you had any success? Because I can see, I'm looking on your Instagram page here, which is at save underscore our underscore stars. If you guys want to check it out that are listening. Um, you're very focused on this metaphysical, this experience of the stars. I believe that it's unsafe for us not to have those experiences, actually. I think people are damaged when they don't have access. And I think the rise of the psychedelic drug phenomenon in the United States and Canada and Western nations, along with other the increase, and Jane's a yoga instructor, and so I don't think there's anything wrong with practicing yoga or meditation practices, but the increase of these things, I think, is related to us losing something that we all got very naturally from night skies. Is there an argument there that we can make that not only is this beautiful and sublime but it's also transcendental and important for us as a species and other species to experience on a regular basis? Can we make that argument?
All right, so that was a really good point that you mentioned about the light pollution affecting our mental illness and mental health, and this leads to a lot of mental illnesses that we are unaware of. Uh, at the, and it affects our physical health also, and we are missing out us ourselves missing out on this experience of the night sky, and a proper night leads to sleep deprivation, and which in turn leads to physical as well as mental illnesses. And actually, according to me, the drug problem that you mentioned, it has increased because of this the problem of the light pollution only, because since we do not have the proper experience of the night sky, the and it leads to mental illness, increasing mental illnesses. People shift towards drugs to combat them, and since the drug problem was not a thing in the first place, after it started increasing, it became a fashion statement. So now the problem has is not just affected by the loss of the night, but also as a thing that can be considered cool.
I completely agree that there is a relationship to what we're saying the escape of the night sky is, and that lack that has potentially contributed to people's seeking of alternative routes of escape. So it's an interesting parallel to draw, because I think we've never had more access to mind altering drugs in this state of the world, and we've also never had less access to the night sky. So I firmly believe that if we could get our stars back, we could actually start thinking better and being better advocates for all other types of climate change, that this disconnection is actually fueling all the other climate change that's happening. And what I want to point out actually is that, here you are, Deep, you're in Delhi.
Delhi.
Yes, and I'm in Cambridge, and Mike, you're in Toronto.
Yep.
So there's the three of us. We're all in three very separate parts of the world, and yet we have this shared heritage. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not just from three people who have different countries, it's from us as humans and wildlife. We also share it with wildlife.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this amazing shared heritage across all living things. I want to know, though, because everyone has a unique experience with the night sky, what is the relationship that you see that people in your country have when they have access to the night sky? What is the relationship that you feel that is inspiring in your country?
Uh, uh, Actually, in my country, night sky is a proper night sky is available at a very few places now, because even at the rural areas, uh, they are using unshielded lights, and also the sky glow is affecting their view. But yes, when people have access to the night sky, they feel really elevated. I have seen people I have visited some places that are really dark, and there are bottle one or bottle two skies, and people there who come there for camping, or come there for camping, or just for the sake of a good night, they are really elevated to see how much they are missing out on, how much of a beautiful thing this is, and which we cannot even see in most of the country.
It's literally a lack of perspective. Literally. You know,
Yeah,
people say you lack perspective. Well, people don't know where they live. Like that they don't know that they live in a universe. They can't see it.
yeah,
Like they live in an enormous universe that's filled with all manner of stars, and our ancestors named them, and there was constellations, and they built pyramids to align with them every 12,500 years. Crazy stuff like that. And people can't see that anymore. That has to be devastating. There's no other description for it. And you know what's interesting is that like most things devastating, in fact impacts the poor far more than it affects others. And in a country like India, where you have more poverty, the light is even LED lights. That Jevons paradox we talk about quite a bit, Jane, where the cheaper something becomes, the more of it we seem to use. Plastic and LED light seem to fall very well into those categories. Um, how did India, you're not even that old. How old are you, Deep?
I'm 17,
He's
17.
17 years old. So so you went from being able to see the stars on a rooftop village in India to not being able to see the stars in your 17 years.
Yeah,
Like that's incredible. That's absolutely not incredible is the wrong word. That is like that is an invasion of a
exactly.
it's an invasion of a like a what do you call those things, the species that are not that don't belong in certain areas, what are those things called, it
Invader species?
invasive species. It's an
Invasion.
invasive
Invasive species.
species, or
Yes.
so, you know, clouding out your ability to engage in your own universe. And in 17 years, less than 17 years, that is an astonishing rate, and it is it's absolutely unbelievable to me that that happened that quickly, Jane. It's unbelievable, actually.
Yes. So actually, it's funny because Deep, I actually lived in India for 2009 and 2010, and I very serendipitously ended up living with a family in the Delhi area. And they lived in Gurgaon, which is a little suburb south of India, sorry, south of Delhi. And even in the time that I lived with them, which was about 5 or 6 months, there was an amazing amount of buildup of the surrounds, malls being constructed. And that's 10 years ago. I can't even imagine the rate of building that was happening was immense. So how cheap and easy it is to install an LED, I can't imagine how hard it would be to rein that in at the rate. I remember being at a party there, and they said that India's rate of growth was, I think, in 7 or 8% back then. It was way ahead of the world. So it was just an immense amount of growth that was happening. So I would imagine that there is a lot to educate and control, and we're just so thankful for your work to get the grassroots out there, because I also, in my time there, uh, India is a place of paradigms where you see the most deepest spiritual seeking, and then also you'll see the other side of consumerism right up next to each other. And so I really feel that, India has this amazing access to spirituality that to this day, I've never felt that depth in any other country since. So I do think that you have the ability to get the word out and actually be able to make a difference because there is that depth there. People are seeking it. So what is the experience that you have when you talk to people with this grassroots? Do people come to you and tell you, the stars are a source of inspiration? I know that you're saying that there's a lot of people that just simply don't have access, but when you do come across someone who has access, what's their message?
Uh, so, what are you asking? You are asking that when I come across someone who has access to it and their experience.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So, when the people who have regular access to the proper night sky, those people, I mean, the life or the nightlife, the whole life of the people is really different from the ones we are living in the Indian cities. They are living a proper they are having a proper sleep schedule. They are sleeping on time. They are not taking any medicines. Their immunity is so strong. But I mean, just now in as the pandemic grew in India, the places that are a little isolated and that have dark places, as they are a little isolated from the other cities, there the number of cases there were as same as the cities only, but the uh, the uh, the recovery rate over there, it was so great that these places were free from coronavirus. Uh, I mean, I think 5 to 6 months ago only, and in the second wave too that is
Wow.
currently going on in India, and the second wave too that is currently going on in India, these states didn't witness much of a rise in the cases, because uh, as they have a proper as they have a proper nightlife, as they have a proper access to these things, they have a proper life that we are missing out on.
That's incredible. So you're linking a place's connection to the stars with healthier immunity and therefore a healthier response rate to the coronavirus, where it didn't change the number of cases, but the outcome was better. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean,
It's the same thing in Africa too, actually. They've observed the same trend that, when the pandemic started, everyone talked about an African disaster, and it never occurred. And there's been no vaccination, there's been no campaigns, there's been no social distancing, there's been none of that in these areas. Like, that's unheard of. Like, social distancing in an Indian, I hate to say this, but in an Indian slum is not possible. They don't
it's
do
not possible.
that. There's no
Yeah, it's not
such
possible.
thing as social distancing. It's not a thing. You can't do it. People live 10 people live in a 100 square foot room. And the bed is the table, and sanitization, disinfection, these types of things. But the pandemic has been worse on the other people that do not live in slums, actually,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's been worse on them largely because a lot of them are diabetic, and they have a whole bunch of comorbidities. And so India is actually, when it comes to COVID-19, a very and health is a very fascinating case study right now, for a lot of different reasons. But this show is not about that. But so that's interesting. We're not, obviously, Jane. We're not connecting seeing the stars to curing COVID-19 or preventing SARS-CoV-2 infections. Obviously, we're not doing that. But what we're saying is a better relationship to the Earth, and our immune systems are related to these things. And it's
Yeah,
very difficult to pin down what it is, but certainly we have to advocate for a return to this somehow. And as Jane said earlier, the lack of perspective. The problem is that there's a smallness to our mentality now that our ancestors didn't have. The expansive view of the universe does something to humans. I know it because I've interviewed many people about this now. There is something to this that we need to reestablish. How do you get this on Narendra Modi's desk, Deep? How do we get it to Narendra
yeah.
Modi?
Actually, I am trying to do this right now, because there is a show he does on every Sunday, that is Man Ki Baat. It's a radio show, so in that he takes letters from people. They have their problems, they have their appreciations. So I have been sending it from 2 months now. Every week I send that letter in the hope that someday it will reach reach to his office, and I mean, uh, it'll at least put this thing into the ears of the public.
There has to be a way to get this message to him. It would be interesting. I would say that the first country that adopts this or goes after this is going to be seen as a world leader in environmentalism, and it's an easy issue to solve. Actually, I think that it would be a no-brainer for him to embrace a discussion with you and have it. So we need to get that not just to children, but we need to get to the Narendra Modis of the prime ministers and the leaders and make this an issue on their desk that is real and impactful. So I commend you for trying, and I hope if you get on that, you have to send it to us.
Yeah, sure. I will.
Well, getting back to some of the work that you do, Deep, which I think is so about this inspiration, this natural, beautiful escape. I actually, the other day, I was a little stressed out and I found my brain saying, I'm so tired of the uncertainty. And then I was like, well, you were just writing about the fact that when you look at the stars, you confront uncertainty. You confront the unknown and the unknowable. And I think when we take that departure to confront what is really truly uncertain and not whether or not, you know, that thing is going to come through in your life, the minutia, when we avoid the minutia and we start focusing on the actual uncertainty of what it is to be alive, to exist. I think this really is a very calming sense for our immune system where we sort of surrender and let go. And is that what you're saying was sort of happening to you as a child when you were growing up, when you were
Yeah,
confronting this?
yeah, that's the same thing that happened to me, and that happens to me right now, and I know that will keep happening to me until the end because really I have established a relationship with the stars that fills me with spiritual powers, and I somehow end up being a better person afterwards.
Yes.
That's actually very important what you just said. And why?
Uh,
Why? Like that's the question that, why are you just said that you're a better person. Like that seems absurd to people. I'm telling you, like people that don't understand the issue be like, how could seeing the stars make you a better person? How could having it's obvious. You just flip it around. It's obvious having a relationship with the universe is actually very powerful. You could flip it on, but why? Why does it? Why does it? Why did it help you? And how can we spread this message?
uh, I think that it helped me and it helps a lot of people because of the fact that we first of all that you said that we can flip the question that we are connected to the universe after all, but there's also thing that when we look up to the stars, we feel peace. That's the point that we have been missing all the time. Peace is the only thing that can make us a better person because we are living in a world of chaos right now. And in this world of a rush hour, night sky is a cool down.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It is this amazing counterpoint and counterbalance to our days. And that sounds so obvious, but when I say that, I really feel the weight of the night and the night sky as really countering what we really exist with in our days. And that without that counterbalance, we're sort of just kind of running on empty. What are some of your exciting projects on the horizon? What are you planning to do to get more of the word out?
Right. So I have a really big project on the way. That is, I am currently about to finish a book that is a collection of poems, and in that there's a specific section assigned to the about light pollution and the open letter to stars or open letter to the night sky like that. And with that book, I'll because that book doesn't just contain about the problem of light pollution. It's an open-ended book, but in the end, there's a specific section with around 10 to 12 poetries and open letters about this problem. So this will reach out to more and more people, and also the all the profits that will be earned through this will go directly into the initiative that I have right now. Let's say our stars initiative. And a second project that I have on the horizon is trying to start an advocacy internship program because I don't really have a team with me. Since 3 years, I have been doing work with Seva Stars, but every year, I have in the team I have some people who volunteer. I have some friends who volunteer, and every year the every year the volunteers change. So there is no certainty in how my next project will turn out. So that's why I'm trying to build up a team that will help me first of all manage the Save Our Stars page and help me conduct the events, because in the last since the pandemic I have been doing this on my own, and I don't have a problem in that. But after the pandemic, when I have to do offline events, that will be a really great problem for me, because I have tried to to do these events alone before, and that resulted in a lot of chaos.
Well, it's really funny that you mentioned about trying to build community to work towards this effort. Because Mike and I were on the phone the other day, and I said there's this expression I learned in India, which is one is one and two is 11, meaning that there is this amplification that happens when you are a community and you are all pivoting around this idea. Because if I'm just one person, maybe I'm the crazy star lady who wants to get our stars back. But if I'm multiple people, then there's something to be heard. And you can have a lot more power there. So I think it's really amazing that you're trying to clone yourself or develop other people to be able to spread this message. I think that's super important.
Jane, you are the crazy star lady. So face it. But I love the way you
Perhaps.
said. I love the way you said really good problem. That's interesting. You know, uh, I always talk about there's good problems and bad problems. There's good mistakes and bad mistakes. And so I think the world with the darkness issue has a really good problem, because we can solve it. We have the technology. There's no issue. It's just a matter of advocacy, awareness, and then deployment. That's it. There's no engineering that needs to be done. There's no scientific discovery. There's nothing that needs to be done. Narendra Modi, you need to get deep in your office right now and talk about this. We're gonna tag him on Twitter too to send this message. Do a little clip. I'm calling out Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India. He's got to talk to Deep and listen to people that are expressing this issue. What a wonderful gift it would be if we were able to give back India and Canada and America and places in Africa and Europe back, give them back their heritage. Without borders and without ethnicities or anything, with this shared heritage we all have a right to. It would be such a wonderful, wonderful problem to solve. I love that. A really good problem. That is a good problem, actually. Let's solve it. Come on.
So what is on the horizon for your work, and what do you hope in the next 5 years to accomplish?
Okay, so in the upcoming years, I have actually there's a person that is trying to establish a dark sky place in India. That it's near Nagpur in Maharashtra. So over there, I plan to, after the restrictions are gone, I plan to visit there and try. And currently also I'm trying to help him in the application process, and we both try plan to establish a dark sky place in India, because that will be a thing that we have for our advocacy, and also we are giving a gift to the night sky viewers. They can visit there, and after we have done something this big in India, we have a baseline on which we can establish an even greater organization or even greater community.
That's wonderful. Wonderful.
Wow.
Mike, do you have any last questions for Deep?
Well, Maharashtra seems to be in I think it's the west, like southwest India.
Yeah,
West.
south.
Yeah. So would that be India's first dark sky park?
Yeah, that will be India's first dark sky.
I think that's a reasonable goal. For us, for Starving for Darkness, Jane, I think it's really to get the awareness to people about light trespass, light pollution, dark skies, darkness, dark water, all these things that really matter. And so we're trying to raise awareness. Uh, I think that's a fantastic goal. I commend you, Deep, on your work and your age, 17 years old.
Thank you.
Keep it going, brother.
Thank you.
And I will say, Linnea Tillett, she's a very acclaimed lighting designer here in the States. And I remember seeing her speak about 10 years back. And she said, if you want to be a better lighting designer, read more poetry. So
Mm.
I think you're absolutely onto something deep through your poetry, through your writing. It's so palpable, your love of the stars, and it's infectious. And
Hmm.
so thank you so much for your work and all of your grassroots movement. Uh, and we just are so thankful to have you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me on this podcast.
Glad
It
to
was a
be.
really great experience.
Psst, psst. Hey, don't go anywhere yet because we have some instructions for you. It's Michael and Greg from Get a Grip on Lighting. Yeah, we do the ads for Starving for Darkness. You got to go to KeystoneTech.com. That's KeystoneTech.com. Light made easy, Greg.
You've been rattled that off real well. There's
Mm.
a new line of exterior fixtures from Keystone that they have available, and they're going to continue to expand on it. And they're doing things right. And one of those that they're doing right is in their wall packs, they're making them full cutoff. That's going to eliminate undesirable sky glow and glare. And that's what we all want. It looks nice. It fits the profile of a lot of your old nasty fixtures and has multiple wattages and kelvins that can cover you there.
Get rid of those old nasties. Go to KeystoneTech.com. That's KeystoneTech.com. Thanks for listening to Starving for Darkness. Bye for now.